there everyone, welcome. I'm feeling a lot better now, the stomach flu is almost gone, so it's time for a new video. With the ban list live, I'm going to be talking about the top 4 decks in the best of 1 standard format right now that are the best decks to grind to Mythic in the August 2020 season. I was planning to do some game footage today, but since I've been sick for a while and I missed a few days of uploads, I feel a lot of people may be a bit behind in terms of what deck to play right now, especially with this new ban list live right now. So let's do a little bit of meta-analysis and get everyone up to date what deck to play, and we can always go back and play these decks afterwards. You can leave a comment down below if there's a particular deck you want me to play from the ones shown today, so I will make some footage and you can view that after that. I also will post a couple of bonus deck lists that are very good against the current metagame today on my Patreon, so if you want some extra anti-meta decks, feel free to go check that out as well. Also, I do custom tailor list for patrons, so if you want a deck list made for you personally that performs well against the metagame, just check that out. We have several packages there. Anyways, so the decks for today. The decks I will feature on the channel have all been tested and they are clearly capable of pulling off a 60% or higher win rate on average. Of course, when you get into the Diamond and Mythic tiers, this is going to be a bit lower. However, I believe the decks I will show on the channel today all should be able to pull off at least a 55% win chance in Diamond and about 52% in Mythic. But you need to keep in mind that these are very normal numbers, especially if you're up against a more competitive environment. The current top decks in best of 1 that I personally evaluate and that I've been checking also with statistics available on AtoHub, MTG Top 8 and MTG Goldfish are as follows: Mono Red aggro, Mono Green aggro, Rakdos Sacrifice and Mono White Life Gain, in that particular order as well. There are other decks that perform really well, like Jeskai and the Winota deck that I featured on my channel a few days ago. The Winota deck especially also pulls off a 60% win rate. However, I think that one has some bad matchups that the decks that I will be showing today probably do not. And also these particular decks that I do have in mind don't see much representation in the current metagame, so maybe it's not as tested as I think it is what I'm trying to get at. Anyways, as of the ban list of last week, I think Mono Red is the best deck, so let's just jump into the best list right away for that deck. So Mono Red number 1, I numbered them from best to worst right here, so let's jump into this one right here. Make it big. So yeah, Mono Red. Mono Red is one of those decks that did not undergo a lot of changes since the ban list, because its bad matchups are pretty much off the table now, so Mono Red is ready to do what it does best since a long time, and it's gonna stay around until the next rotation. After that is probably going to see some changes and going to be the next top tier deck like it always is. I have featured very similar Mono Red decks on the channel, but this particular list right you can see that it now runs 3 Torbran instead of 1 or 2, and since the fairy is gone and it cannot be bounced as easily, it's much easier to have a Torbran stick around for a turn, so that's why the total of those went up. Also, if you can get an Embercleave off on a Torbran, or an Anax for that matter, it's going to be a game-winning scenario most of the time. The benefit is that when an Embercleave lands on top of an Anax, then let's make this one bigger. On top of an Anax, because Anax power is equal to the Devotion turret, then together with the Embercleave, he is going to have an extra 2 attack power because Embercleave itself generates 2 red devotions, and it also gives +1/+1, so Embercleave is pretty much a +3/+3 card. No, sorry, that's wrong. A +3 attack for Anax here. Plus, if you put an Embercleave on a Torbran, it's going to be really good because Torbran deals 2 damage extra for every red damage it deals, and that means because Embercleave allows Torbran to attack twice, then he suddenly is attacking for 10 damage a turn, and Anax can easily get to 11 or 12 damage with an Embercleave on it, so these two are very good targets to have your Embercleave on there. However, if you play your 1-drops and your 2-drops, Embercleave is also really good on these, especially on a Bonecrusher Giant. Like a Bonecrusher Giant plus an Embercleave is also a very respectable creature, a 5/4 that deals 10 damage total, so yeah, and all these creatures have their benefits with Embercleave. Embercleave is just a very broken card, and I'm a little bit surprised that it did not see any bans, or at least get limited in some way, like we see in the Legacy and Vintage scene, I believe. But, well, here we are. Embercleave is here to stay, and it's probably going to be a top card for a very long time. Especially after rotation, we still have a full year of playing with this particular card right here. But yeah, Mono Red doing Mono Red things. Not much else to say. This is currently the top deck. I think I'm not sure if there should be more Rimrock Knights in here instead of one of the 1-drops, maybe a couple less Thin Street Dodgers and a couple more Rimrock Knights, but the list has been performing really well. In Platinum right now, I believe is pulling off a 65% win rate, so if you want a quick deck to rank up quickly, this is probably the best deck to go, which leads us to deck number 2 over here, the Mono Green deck. Let's make this bigger. So yeah, Mono Green. Mono Green is one of those odd decks that just keeps on giving. Most of the creatures you have cannot be shocked off the field, and something even like a Pelt Collector, once it has been buffed twice, it's also pretty much resistant to a shock. And Mono Green is just a good deck. You have things like Gemrazer over here, the Questing Beast and the Scavenging Ooze, which have very good matchups against pretty much any deck that isn't a creature deck. On top of that, because we have so many beefy blockers and a Ramtrue to be able to deal damage to other creatures, we don't really have bad matchups other than Rakdos Sacrifice maybe. Originally I was running Primal Growth in my Mono Green decks, but I feel that Mono Green does the Mono Green game plan best if you can just keep on putting more and more creatures onto the battlefield, and being able to curve 1, 2, 3, 4 into very big creatures is just a very good way to go with this particular deck. I shared this one with some people on Discord already, I believe. Maybe it was slightly different from this, but I like this deck. I feel if Embercleave wasn't in the format, this probably would have been the number 1 deck right now, but since Embercleave is what it is. I'm still not sure about Vivien. Maybe Vivien should be 2 Nissas instead, but I don't know. I was running in Nissa in this particular list before, and I felt that sometimes she came out a bit too late, especially with all the Mono Red in the format, so I kind of liked having a Vivien in here, because this allows us to put some extra counters on our creatures, make them even buffier and even more capable of blocking. So let's just go on to deck number 3. Deck number 3, let's make it a bit bigger. This one has been a surprise for me, because when the Cat Oven got banned, I thought like, okay, so Rakdos Sacrifice is dead. It's not going to perform well anymore, because one of the main combos that deck has to offer is having the Mayhem Devil and then just keep on sacrificing your cat to keep on dealing more and more damage. But little did I know, and maybe I should have expected it, that the deck doesn't even need the Cat Oven, because now it can simply run more Call of the Death Dwellers and add in that Archfiend's Vessel that I've been running into early iterations of the deck that I couldn't quite find the space for, but now we can. Now we have the space for it. And it allows us to run a couple extra Village Rides, and Rakdos Sacrifice is just a top deck yet again. Fortunately for us, Mono Red is kind of keeping the deck in check a little bit. Unfortunately for us, the deck that's keeping it in check is Mono Red, so that doesn't leave much breathing space for combo or janky decks in general. So the format is going to be kind of wedged between ultra aggro and these kind of control kind of strategies like you are seeing right here. However, this deck is really good. I might be dropping some Active Treason for a couple more Claim the Firstborn, because Claim the Firstborn is just really good in combination with a Priest of the Forgotten Gods, being able to snatch an opponent's creature and then sacrificing it to make them sacrifice even more of their creatures is just a very good game plan. However, this deck does what it does well, in the sense that what you can do with this is that you can kind of do a bit of smart blocking and dealing some damage here and there. And what you want to do is get a very good beefy target from the opponent and win the game with that. For example, what I tend to do is, like, if I play against Mono Red, I do let them resolve the Embercleave on a good target. And I do try to block in such a way that I just barely survive. And then the next turn I steal the Embercleave creature, attack them with it and win the game. So this deck is very good at turning the game around in a win, which would have otherwise been a loss, just because of all the little interaction it offers. Druid is also very nice in combination with Mayhem Devil. I'm not sure if it should run 4 Mayhem Devils and 1 Druid, but I like the current split. This gives a bit of variation in game plan, makes the game a little bit less boring as well. I found this particular list over on AetherHub. It's been doing really well there. Some people claiming that it has a 72% win rate. I don't believe in that. I believe any deck that claims to be higher than 65% has not been properly tested, or the meta has not really adjusted to it properly yet. But it can't be ignored that this is just a very good deck right here. And that leaves us with the 4th deck that is going to be really good to grind to Mythic, and the last deck I will be featuring on this video today, and that's Mono White Life Gain. Mono White Life Gain is one of those decks that I've talked a lot about before, that has been doing quite well in Historic, but was missing just that little key opponent to be successful in Standard. The thing that I felt was missing is that because Teferi was in the metagame as well as Wilderness Reclamation, the opponent had lots of ways of kind of going over your creatures, and also with Reckless Sacrifice with the Cat Oven combo. It was very annoying that if you had a very big Ajani's Pridemate, it just kept getting blocked by a 1/1 cat, and then yeah, there goes your win con kind of. That doesn't happen anymore, so suddenly this deck went from like tier 2 to a kind of tier 1 setting in a couple of days, and it's just a really solid deck. What you want to do with this deck is pretty obvious. You play your 1-drops that have lifelink most of the time into anything that can either put in a Ajani's Pridemate on the field, like a Ajani's Strength of the Pride, a Ajani's Pridemate itself, or a Heliod Suncrown on turn 3. You just keep gaining life and keep making your creatures bigger and bigger. On top of that, you have Selfless Savior, which can sacrifice itself in order to protect an Ajani's Pridemate. And it also has a very nice soft combo that if you have a Lurrus on the field and you play Lurrus, you can bring back a Selfless Savior. And then in the opponent's turn, you can sacrifice this to protect your Lurrus, and the next turn you can just keep bringing it back every single turn, so your Lurrus pretty much becomes an indestructible creature that keeps on healing you for 3 life a turn. Pastry Cat is a very fun card as well. Allows you to put +1/+1 counters on every single... it allows you to put +1/+1 counters on a creature and give it indestructible. I was mixing this up with the other card. What's it called? Unbreakable Formation. But Pastry Cat is a very fun card, and if you attack in with creatures, you can create a bunch of 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. And whenever a creature enters the battlefield with deck source, you gain 1 life, which further boosts your Pridemate. And I think if you are a mono white fan, then this is probably the deck for you. And I'm quite happy with the format right now, because we have a deck that incorporates black mana, we have a deck that incorporates red, green, and here white mana. So almost every combination except blue is being properly represented. I do have a deck that has blue in its colors as well. I will be posting that over on Patreon, so that all the patrons of mine have some very fun anti-meta deck to play as well. Either way, there will not be any game footage in this particular video, but I noticed from the statistics that most people seem to enjoy these little deck decks the most, so there you go. I will be posting some footage soon. Please let me know down below which of these decks you want me to play, so I can play it on the channel. I do have a Dimir and Mass deck coming up for next week, and I do want to make a video about how to mulligan properly, which is coming up, but there's been some delays, especially with being sick. The whole flow has been messed up a little bit. Anyways, with that said, I'll be posting regular decks on that I've tested and are performing well for me on the channel soon. But if you need a cool non-generic deck, you can also subscribe on Patreon. I do offer a lot of help and stuff over there, and I also brew decks for people there as well. Also, feel free to join the Discord and chat with myself and the community, and make sure that you're subscribed to this channel, because I will be posting more fun decks the coming days, and I will be doing some more meta-analysis for Historic pretty soon. Probably sometime next week after the Amonkhet Remastered has landed, because that's going to create quite a shake-up. With that said, I heard from some leak that we get stuff like Thoughtseize in the Amonkhet Remastered. I'm quite excited for that, because to me, I kind of want Historic to be more like Pioneer. A lot of people seem to disagree with that, like they want Historic to be its own thing, but for myself, I really want Pioneer on Arena, and every good Pioneer staple that is imported into the game means that Pioneer is one step closer to being an actual format in this game. Anyways, I hope you had a lot of fun with this video today, and see you all tomorrow with another video, and yeah, stay safe out there. Take care.